Welcome back to The Grind for a video guide on how to obtain the Legends title and how to plan and prepare for your Legends run. And hopefully this video will have everything you need to know. Full disclosure up front, I have not done a legend run, so I do not have a Legends title. But I did a lot of research in order to figure out all the things I'm going to share in this video, as well as discuss with a lot of my alliance mates, because I have had a lot of requests for this video. So what we're going to discuss in this video for your Legends run is the sources that will qualify, the best champions and support teams, the fight style that you will have to use depending on how you're going to obtain your Legends title, the masteries you'll want to consider, the boosts in energy that you will need, and then some additional considerations as far as your device and the settings and other tips that we will discuss will come at the end. So the first thing that we'll talk about is how do you get a Legends title? Well, you can do this by running through the monthly event quest as fast as possible and competing with the top 100 other players that do this. New story content that is released will qualify, possibly the next Abyss level content, because when Abyss came out, you could obtain a Legends title by being one of the first to clear it 100%. And then you also have to complete it within an allowed amount of time. There is only a certain window that will qualify, like 2 weeks or a month, to actually do your Legends run. So for event quest legend runs, the monthly event quest, it recycles every month, and every time it's released, you'll have 2 weeks from release to start and finish the heroic and master level difficulty. Now, there was talk a while ago about this changing to uncollected and cavalier difficulty, but since it was initially brought up, it has not been talked about again, so we don't know if or when this is going to happen. When it does happen, things will be a little bit different because the fastest way to clear content might change with higher health pools, but you have to be the fastest 100 players to 100% complete heroic and master from initial entry into heroic or master to completion of 100% exploration of both heroic and master. So once you enter, the clock is ticking, and typically you have to do it within 3 hours or roughly 3 hours to be competitive for that top 100 time. And again, you only have 2 weeks to start that and then finish within ideally 3 hours. Now, with endgame content, this is new story content that is released every several months or so, and once it's released, you have 1 month to do your Legends run. And once you start that content, you only have 24 hours to complete that content, but the timer is only counting your fight time, so you can take breaks as long as you complete within a 24-hour period. And then sometimes other content that comes out, like again the Abyss level content we mentioned, might have a legend title that you could qualify for. Now, how do you decide what champions to use? Well, if you're doing an end game content Legends run, you're just going to want to have access to a lot of high rank, high damage champions, as well as niche champions to take on certain challenging lanes that you might struggle with otherwise. So that one's a bit more challenging, and it's really for the end game players that have extensive rosters with lots of rank 3-6 stars, at least at the time of recording this video. Now for the event quest, it might be a little bit easier to have the qualifying champions, but basically, the event quest runs are a majority of the time done with Corvus and Ghost at the highest star level and rank possible, because that's where you'll get the most damage. And we'll talk about why actually the heroic event quest, Ghost is more ideal, whereas in the master event quest, Corvus might be more ideal. But you can do both of them with one of these champions. Now, other champions that have been used are Hitmonkey and Colossus, which people have said they have gotten a Legends title using those champions with their support teams. And one of my alliance mates brought up a new synergy with Terrax that will allow you to get very high damage with your first heavy attack in the fight. And so with that, you might actually have a good clear speed with Terrax. However, Terrax's heavy attacks are going to be dealing like 30 to 35,000 damage, which is going to be a lot overkill, but this might be an option for if and when they move up to the uncollected Cavalier. But again, with Cavalier, the nodes recycle, so and they're specific to certain class types, so you'll have to worry about that as well. So now moving on to the synergy teams. Well, one of the best attack synergy teams now that Falcon was buffed and it stacks, so you can use 2 Falcons, would be 2 Falcons with Cull Obsidian and OG Cap, and all together, that's going to give you 32% additional attack plus some extra crit. However, if you don't have that team, the typical synergy pieces are Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket, which gives you 12% attack damage. And if you are running Ghost, then Ant-Man has a synergy with that. But for the event quest, you're not really going to benefit much from the Ant-Man synergy because you're not going to be building up buffs and throwing off special 2s. However, if you're doing a endgame content clear, Ant-Man is going to be a very important synergy piece for your Ghost if that is who you're using. Now you can also use Proxima and Doctor Strange to get you 7%, which is also a nice added synergy to throw in with Corvus because Corvus and Proxima also have a synergy that gives an extra 7% attack. And then as we mentioned, if you're going to try the Terrax, it would be beneficial to throw in that Overseer synergy. And what I would recommend is testing out the champions that you have prior to, but that'll come a little bit later with our miscellaneous tips. Now, the masteries that you're going to want to run are full suicides. You need full suicides because that gives you a huge advantage or a huge amount of attack bonus, and those who are running the Legends run are going to be running full suicides. You also want to max the crit damage. You don't really need crit rate if you're using Ghost and Corvus because they have access to guaranteed critical hits with certain attacks that they use. And so the crit rate is not really going to be beneficial, but the crit damage is because you want that first critical hit to kill the opponent. And if you have not quite enough critical damage, you're going to have to use a second hit. Whereas if you max out your critical damage, you might end the fight 1 hit sooner, and that extra 1 or 2 seconds averaged over hundreds of fights in the Legends run could be the difference between you getting that Legend title or not. Now, what you also might want to consider is longer parries. So using parry, stupefy, block proficiency to get the little extra bonus on your parries for maybe the boss fights that might be a little bit more challenging, might have limber, stuff like that. So that can come in handy. And then someone that I'm not really mentioning, but if you want to throw in limber in case you get hit by a stun, or throw in stand your ground in case you get hit by a heavy attack, those might come in handy, but really those are not going to be ideal situations to happen. You want to avoid those happening in the first place, but they might come in as a failsafe. Now, let's talk about boosts and energy. You want to boost up to the max, and that means using 30% attack and 30% greater champion boosts. And I would recommend setting a timer so that you can refresh those boosts as soon as they expire. And then if you don't have the 30% boosts, you can get them from the Advanced Alliance Quest bundle, which costs 1,375 units, or the Cavalier Event Quest completion bundle at the end of each month's Cavalier Event Quest. Once you complete it one time through, you can spend just under 3,000 units and you will get some of those boosts from there as well. They also come in cash offers if you are a spender. And then the amount of refills specifically for the Event Quest Legends run that you will need is about 38 to 40 refills, and that'll cost you about 1,200 units. So you will have to spend some units in order to prepare for this run. And what I would recommend is if you are planning this in the near future, start grinding Arena, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, to save up battle chips and save up units so that you have access to them when the time comes. Now, this is where the fight style is going to be very important. This is like the golden rule, the golden tip, and that's why we have Gold Pool dabbing towards the intercepting title. And we're going to demonstrate that in a video, but this is where you tap your light attack, which is the right side of the screen, as fast as you can at the very start of the match before the match actually begins, so that when you enter, your light attack will launch very quickly and beat the opponent before they throw off their light attack or medium attack. And using Ghost for this, she has to be awakened, and Ghost will have phased right away, so she'll have a guaranteed critical hit on her next hit, so that light attack will crit and deal a lot of damage and should kill most of the heroic opponents with a single light attack. So here is an example. At the very start of the fight, I'm already tapping on the right side of the screen as fast as I can, so as soon as the fight starts, we land our light attack, and it killed this opponent. Now, the same opponent with Corvus Glaive, you can see it actually took 2 mediums to beat that opponent, and Corvus Glaive, at least at the start of the fight, is not going to have any charges, so he might be a little bit slower, and this is in a master level opponent. But you can see with Corvus, you can play a bit more aggressively and do some intercepts, and you might want to just evaluate which lanes offer some charges at the start of the fight, and maybe use Corvus for those lanes only in Masters and then Ghost for the others. But with Ghost, you kind of have to rely on them playing into your phase so that you can repeatedly throw medium attacks and then phase again. This is something you might want to be practicing well in advance of your planned legend run, and you might want to consider planning out the path, like I said, for ones that you want to use Ghost or ones you want to use Corvus. And now we're going to quickly go through some additional tips and tricks that might help your legend run be a little bit quicker, because every second counts. So some of the device requirements and settings, Apple devices just run smoother and faster for Marvel Contest of Champions, but Android players have gotten Legends titles. The newer models will work better. The most recent update is ideal, so update your phone before this. Create extra space in your storage so that you don't have that slowing things down. Turn off all notifications and background app refresh. Close all other apps, restart your phone, and then only run MCOC when you're doing your Legends run. And just so you know, the game is likely going to crash many times during your run. I've heard lots of players say between 3 to 8 times, and they've still gotten a Legends title, so don't get discouraged, keep on going. And then for game settings, delete all your in-game mail, disable all communication settings, invites, and requests. So to do that, you go into your red mail, select all, hit the top right corner, trash can, and that will delete all. Then go down into social requests, hit the hide all requests in the top left corner there, and then go into settings and the chat enabled, you deselect all of those, and then a little bit lower down, deselect all of those as well, and that might give you a little bit of a smoother play. And then a few final tips: scout the map out beforehand for some problem fights. You can do this by running through and exploring all of Uncollected, or you can ask a friend to plan it, help you plan it out and show you what all the paths are. Look for the fights that might have Maw or other champions with Unstoppable that might make it more challenging to Ghost right away or something like that. And then wait for a few days after the update goes live, because there's notoriously some errors and glitches and more frequent kickouts during that time. So give it a few days. Also, wait for a time with absolutely no distractions, whether it be in real life or in game. If you are going to be required in War or Alliance Quest, you probably don't want to be rushing out your Legends run at that time. And if you have people coming over, or if you're expecting a package to come to the door, you don't want to be distracted during this Legends run, because every second counts. And the last little tip to save a little bit of time is don't wait till you're out of energy to refill and ask for energy. While you're running on the map, select to use items, ask for help, and use an energy refill while you are moving from one spot to the next, and using the autoplay might help as well. I really hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments if there's any extra tips that you have, and I hope to see you in the next video.